Hello and welcome back to the table. We are Finding a Torio Weekly podcast. We're a group of three friends with so many years of gaming experience sit down and discuss everything topical in the TTRPG world, including our own world of Atoria. But today's a little different, Katie. We asked and we have received Arcadia. There we go. That's two of them.
We have. It is a good day.
It's a great day because we have our first guest. Someone bravely has stepped forward to jump on the microphone with us today. And without further ado, because we don't have a whole lot of time with them today, we are lucky enough to sit down today and have a conversation with the host of the wildly successful podcast that we both enjoy, the Epic Adventure podcast. We have Steve Kellams on the program today. Good morning, Steve.
Woohoo. Welcome, Steve.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. And I love the wildly popular thing.
It's in quotes here. It's wildly popular around our studio. Thank you for taking some time with us today. I wanted to open up because we started our conversation as fellow podcast hosts, and I've been lucky enough over the past couple of months to take a lot of information from Steve that he's been kind enough to share, and it helps us very much. Where in the world, I guess it's the question you ask anybody, how did you decide that a podcast about epic adventures was right for you?
My favorite part about gaming has always been after the game, right? When you're sitting around and talking about, oh, did you make that decision? And why did you do that? And
oh my gosh,
I can't believe you guys did this. And then when COVID had hit and we went online gaming and doing through Zoom like most people did, you didn't have those conversations anymore. You know, it was like, oh, hey, gotta go, guys. And everybody just clicked off. And It bugged me. Man, I didn't like it at all. And I wanted to talk more about the games we were playing and just gaming in general. And, two of the people I game with they're absolutely brilliant, Christina and Mike. And I wanted to talk to them more. I had some experience in podcasting before. And so I kind of understood the process. I knew about how it worked and how to put shows together. And I said, hey, let's just do a podcast. And they were like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure. And I said, look, we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk gaming stuff. And so we did. And the very first podcast we did was the OGL, which was interesting because Mike really got to hit his business side in. Christina got to talk about ethics and the things that she really is interested in. And, I just got to flap my gums. And so, it worked out great. And that's where it started. And we started every 2 weeks. And then I was like, you know what, we can do this more because I love talking gaming. And so we did, and we started doing once a week, and we've been doing that now for a couple of years.
It's a fantastic product that you guys put out, and I really enjoy the podcast. You mentioned, and I think it's worth taking a couple of minutes on, Steve, you come from a podcast background previously, and where did that intersection happen for you originally? It was not in the world of TTRPGs, correct?
No, correct. Actually, I retired after 30 years in law enforcement, and my last big chunk of that time was in the administrative side. So I spent about 5 years doing public information stuff, radios and television interviews. And so I learned a lot about that side. Started doing things on the police side. When I retired, I went into consulting and teaching agencies across the United States. So I'm a national instructor across the United States for topics, mostly onboarding and teaching brand new officers to do the cop job.
Okay.
And I started doing with COVID again. I couldn't teach anymore. So I'm at home and I'm locked down like everybody else and, climbing the walls. And so I decided to go with the podcast, and I did that. It was successful. I got a professional producer to show me how it all worked and talk me through all the steps. So it was very natural to bring my hobby into that world. And so I still do the podcast on the other side, on the business side. But, honestly, I'm doing a lot more podcasting through the hobby side now, and I really love it.
Very cool. I like how you brought the two together in your world. And you definitely, we've joked about it around here, you definitely have the voice for it.
Oh, gosh. You could read my lunch order.
Yeah.
Right. I loved how when you were talking about how you got started in this, that, that idea of during COVID, you didn't have the group together at the table, because that's one of the biggest things that we have come around to recognize, that there really is, gaming is fun no matter what, but there is really something extra when you are actually together in person at the table. There's just, it adds an extra oomph. And that's a huge piece of it, that talking and just enjoying each other afterwards.
After the game and saying, I can't believe you hit that roll, or oh, goodness, what a choice. Steve,
why did you put lightning in the bay?
Right. Steve, your background there from the law enforcement side is interesting. Tell our listeners how you got to a table for TTRPGs. Am I correct that you were one of the folks that were walking through the Napoleonics and the actual war strategy games?
Yeah, I mean, it goes all the way back when I was very young. I think I posted this on one of your comments to one of your Facebook comments.
I was going to say, if he saw Napoleon, that would have immediately.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's one of those things where I started as a kid. As a matter of fact, I remember it's like 1975. I'm young, and my parents were playing cards at a friend's house, and I had a friend the same age as I was, and we were kind of upstairs. And I just remember him like reaching over and pulling out from underneath a pillow these strange booklets of a new role-playing game, and it was like it was Playboys or something. It was like contraband.
Checking the door to see if mom was coming in. Right, yeah. Right.
Yes.
And I started looking at that. It kind of blew me away, and so I was really interested in the role-playing stuff kind of first, but I didn't have anybody to play with. So I made a lot of characters, but I didn't have anybody to play with.
Right.
And
been there.
Then there was a gentleman in our neighborhood. He was an older gentleman, really nice guy, worked on cars and all kinds of stuff, and the kids would always kind of ride their bikes through the neighborhood. And this guy one day set up in his garage, he moved the cars out where he was doing car repair, and he set up this huge board, plywood, with all these terrain on it.
Oh,
very
and we
cool.
Stopped. Yeah, the bike stopped. And we were like, what is this? And he said, come on, let me show you. And that started Napoleonics. We started doing that like every weekend for months and years of just playing those kind of games. And I saw immediately how it connected to role-playing. I did. But again, that was where I had most of the people that I could play with. So we did that a lot. That morphed into a few more role-playing games. And by the time I'm senior in high school, I'm playing more role-playing games. College, doing a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then even early on, law enforcement, I still did a lot of it, played quite a bit every weekend. But then like anything else, right? Family,
yes.
Get married,
life gets in the way.
Life gets in the way. All that kind of stopped for a period of time. And so there was a long period of time I didn't do any gaming at all. Then I retired. And I'm looking around going, I need stuff to do. Wait a minute. I loved that.
I enjoyed that. Yes.
That was fun.
And that started, and within a very short period of time, it clicked back on. And now it's, it's 2 games a week. It's Gen Cons, it's podcasts. And, now I'm starting to do some reviews for Pop Geeks. So we're starting to do some video reviews for Pop Geeks, and, just having an absolute blast, because this is a hobby that I can't not talk about.
It's so interesting that you are finding this rush of nostalgia back to the gaming, and then finding these opportunities. You and Christina on the Pop Geeks review was fantastic. I caught that and recommend that folks go and search that out. From your seat, and it's almost a few fingers in a few different pies, from the podcast to Gen Con and your work with Oddfish Games. You kind of have a unique purview on our hobby and the state of it, and going back from that 1975 bike brake skid to get into the garage. Where do you see the hobby? Where do you see tabletop gaming right now in comparison, and where do you think we sit as stewards of that hobby going forward?
We're in the golden age of the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got people saying, it's on the downslide or whatever. Absolutely not. This is a fantastic time to be into this hobby. I mean, I grew up in the Satanic Panic.
That's what I was going to ask about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was real.
I remember it was real. Absolutely. And Mike and I have talked about it a little bit on the podcast. I'm actually right now doing some research, because I remember as a rookie cop sitting in classes.
I was going to ask
Satanism.
about that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How, if that conflicted, or there was a convergence there for you? Because I know that.
No, I was like, these people are idiots.
Sure.
It's bared out, right? So I wasn't far off the mark. But I mean, I've still got some of those booklets around here from training, and I'm like, this is a joke. This is ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
And And so, yeah, living through that time and seeing where it's at now. I mean, I used to hide. This is really interesting. One of the guys at my gaming table right now, I worked with him for 20 years. Didn't know he was a role player.
Yeah.
Because we weren't allowed to. You were
You
weird.
kept that hidden.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, I found on Facebook, he made a post that I happened to see about looking for a group. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Right.
You're a role player? Dude, call me. And so now he's playing with us. So
that's really cool.
And I agree with what you say. It is for those of us that lived through those heady days of rolling in the closet almost, to have the magnitude of the popularity and the explosion in so many new voices in game creation. It's a golden age. And I don't want to jump out too far here, but as an avid listener to the Epic Adventure podcast, there were some things teased, and you mentioned the word Gen Con. Can you give us anything at all, hot light now on you, anything that you feel comfortable teasing for those that would want to see you guys next year? Is there news to be shared yet, or did I jump the gun?
I don't know that I can share a whole lot yet, but I will say this is that every time we get together at Gen Con, again, most of our gaming now is still online. People are busy, and we do have some people that are out of town that play with us, so we still play online. And Gen Con is always awesome because we get together and we spend, the entire Gen Con together and talking and coming up with ideas. And Mike calls it being, just like covered in inspiration when you're there.
Yeah.
And so we have lots of ideas coming out of that. And Christina's been working really hard on a brand new role-playing game that is, she's finishing up her doctorate, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So that's getting close. I actually sat down and worked on writing an adventure for our How to RPG with a Cat game, which is a fantastic little game. I had really fun with the adventure because it was, nice tongue-in-cheek cat pun stuff. I really had a good time with it. And I think next year, Gen Con, our Radiance rollout was a big deal 2 years ago.
Sure.
And then this year was kind of nothing new, but I think you're going to see a lot of new stuff coming to that booth next year. And maybe even if all the stars align right, maybe a nice, cool event that we want to try to run for next year.
Very cool.
Well, we're going to stay tuned in, and I think the listeners will too, to find out more about that as it evolves. I love the first word in your podcast title, and I think that it's something that gets bandied around a little bit too much in media and culture these days. But what do you find is necessary to have an epic adventure? When do you classify, because we've all rolled some games that maybe weren't, that didn't get to that epic status, or seen a movie or listened to something that just didn't get there. What for you makes an adventure epic?
It's such a great question because, and this is going to be controversial, especially with you guys, but it's one of the reasons that I tend to not like D&D very much, is that it's so role-based and it's actually like a mini combat, almost a mini war game kind of thing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. For me, what makes a adventure epic is that when you're done and you've closed those books and, that conversation afterwards, you can't stop talking about what just happened.
Sure.
That's epic, whatever it is, whether it was the big mistake, whether it was the big reveal, whether it was, whether it was something very small or even something very big. That to me is what makes a thing epic, is that when you're done, you can't stop talking about it. And that is what I've always striving for in every game. You don't get there at all, right? Some games are rolling a lot of dice. Some games are banging your head against the wall. We played just the other night, and it's another reason why I always say never prepare anything, because for a change, I prepared stuff. I had this thing ready to go.
I've heard of this method. I'm not sure about it.
Malcolm understands that philosophy.
Don't worry. I've done it once. I'll never do it again. And of course, the group does nothing that I expected.
Right. Yes.
Absolutely nothing. And I'm sitting there through the whole game going, and finally, like an hour and a half after something happened, one of the players asked the very obvious question that didn't get asked at the beginning. And I was like, I thought you guys were never going to ask that. What the heck is going on here? And so, and they're like, oh yeah, it's no big deal. And to me, I couldn't stop talking about it afterwards. As a matter of fact, as soon as we finished, before I clicked off, I was like, How do you not ask that question? How do you not ask that question? It's like the sunrises question.
Those are my favorite conversations post game is particularly when you're in the GM seat and you're just like, okay, like seriously guys, like, cause you can't do it mid game, you got to let the game go where the game's going to go. But
and I'm sitting here, behind the screen, just chewing, going, why aren't they asking this question? Every information they want is with this one question. It answers everything. But they keep asking other things that have nothing to do at all.
Absolutely.
It's frustrating, but you love it too at the same time.
Yeah.
And you get that moment afterwards where it hits epic level because you're still in the game's over, the session's closed, and you're still there, and that's epic.
It's sort of like going back to your favorite story, like you just finished a great book or a great movie or something, and you don't want it to be done. You want to keep going over it, discussing it, and parsing it out, figuring out more about it, and sharing it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like your favorite book or your favorite movie, right? You always watch them again.
Right.
There's that movie you always watch. The one you turn on TV and you just sit down.
There it is. It's got me again.
Or your favorite book, even. You go back and there are books that I've read multiple times because I love them so much. And then when I run into those people that go, I never do that, I'm like, you're weird.
Right.
All right. I'm gonna ask the question. What's the favorite book? Can you name some? You've got a bunch of book nerds here.
Well, there are two specific that I've read multiple times that I really love. Well, one is The Three Musketeers.
Oh, yes.
Dumas. I've read that probably a dozen times over the years. And the other is Larry Niven's Ringworld.
Oh,
very nice.
Read that about 3 or 4 times.
That's great.
Those two are the ones that I've probably read the most of, and I love both of those books.
Very cool.
We have really enjoyed the time that you've been kind enough to give us. I know that you have multiple things going on later in the day and got up with a little coffee to spend time with us. By the way, go out online and ask Steve about his coffee cup because that had to be one of the highlights of my morning. We really appreciate the time today. We encourage our listeners to go and enjoy the Epic Adventure podcast as much as we are. We encourage them to go to Oddfish Games and see all of the wonderful things that are coming out of the minds from that company. And I don't know what it will be. I'm going to keep pressing Steve over email, text, and hopefully dinner soon to find out what these next things at Gen Con might be. But we're very privileged to have you here this morning and appreciate you taking the time.
It's been my pleasure. And I want you guys to keep doing what you're doing. I absolutely love your show. It's every time I listen, I want to insert myself in the conversation. I find myself yelling at the radio or yelling in my car as I'm driving to answer some of the questions. And to me, that's what makes, podcasting, well, epic.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That fits your definition of epic.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Steve. We will talk to you guys soon. Thank you for listening to the Finding Atoria podcast. And remember, as always, you can get more Atoria on our Patreon. Talk to you guys next week. Thanks, Steve.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
When you sit down at the table, open the books, and spill out the dice, you're looking for an epic adventure. Tabletop role-playing is more popular than ever, and every day new players join our great hobby. My name is Steve Kellams, and I'm the host of the Epic Adventure podcast. I'm just a fan with a radio voice, but joining me on this quest will be Mike Howlett, the co-founder of Oddfish Games, a great independent game company, and Christina Stiso, a PhD student studying game-based learning. Together, we will discuss all things tabletop gaming, from character creation to world building to setting and pacing. We will give you tips and tricks to make your games, well, epic. Like and subscribe to the Epic Adventure podcast today.
This episode of Finding Atoria is brought to you by Wordleaf Media. The Finding Atoria podcast is looking for guests for our upcoming episodes. Are you or someone you know passionate about the TTRPG community and have a story to share? If so, contact us on our socials or reach out at wordleafmedia.com/findingatoria. And now back to your program.